Ricky Gervais is a former new wave singer whose first taste of fame came through the hit single More to Lose. The band in question was Siona Dancing. Although it's no shame to fail at reaching #1 spot in 1983, especially when you're going up against Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, it is more problematic when the #1 spot is taken by a children's TV jingle 7 weeks in a row in France. Ou La Menteuse by Dorothy. That was the song. Gervais and his bandmates quickly understood that France did not like his band, and this marks the beginning of Gervais's problematic relationship with the French language and the British class system. The shame of his defeat weighed heavily on the Gervais family, and Ricky's father reached out and told Ricky, in no uncertain terms, if you're going to make it in the French charts, you're going to have to bloody well learn French. Ricky's father was, after all, French-Canadian, and took it upon himself to instruct young Ricky in the proper use of the French language, so that he may later write a song in French and claim an honourable spot in the French charts. Le hit parade, as it used to be called. Because it was the early 80s, or 90s, Ricky didn't yet have the internet, and had an idea of France as a very posh place where people pranced around in high-heeled shoes with little bow ties on them and spoke about philosophy and poetry and the arts. Ricky enrolled at the University College in London to study philosophy and prepared his counterattack. After a number of classes with his father, Ricky was finally ready, or so he thought. Armed with his guitar, he hopped onto the Eurostar and set off to France to dazzle them with a song he'd written for the occasion. But instead of being welcomed as a hero in France, Ricky was laughed off the stage halfway through the first verse because of his Canadian accent. Ricky was stabbed deep in the heart, and in this moment he made two life-changing decisions. The first was that he would stop trying to be posh. The second was that he would laugh at anything life had to offer and would never again place himself in a position of weakness. Laughter was his new weapon. Back home at the local BMX track where he regularly hung out, Ricky bumped into an old acquaintance by the name of Carl Pilkington, whom he took an immediate and subconscious disliking for because of his working class pedigree. Carl's, not Ricky's. But Carl had not been to college to study philosophy, and soon became the object of derision at the hand of Ricky and his posh mate, Stephen Merchant. Almost as if to throw a counterspell on anything French, they revived the good old trope of the British playground bully. But people found it funny, and so did Rick. Now on a roll, Ricky created comedy after comedy, always looking further, always pushing the boundaries. With it came truckloads of money. But unbeknownst to Rick, the more money he made, the less working class he became, while still at the same time pursuing a certain working class ideal and dropping his T's each time he remembered, while engaging in highbrow debates at the Oxford Union, albeit in a working class type of way. It was all a big confusing mix-up, and in the meantime, Ricky had forgotten what little French he knew. His comedy took a new direction, and in a Superman type of way, Ricky put on his Superman's cape and decided to become the spokesperson of the ordinary man by punching way up at the Hollywood overprivileged. This strategy was deeply influenced by Ricky's lack of French and understanding of the French middle-class way of thinking, who didn't know a Hollywood celebrity from a hole in the ground. Had Ricky committed to regular French classes, he would have developed a more realistic view of the world and would have known that no one cared about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or whatever the hell his name is. Ricky was good friends with Hollywood celebrity Johnny Depp, whose second footman had notions of French. Johnny, who'd been in the celebrity circuit longer than Ricky, informed him of the sad reality of the matter, that no one was interested in Hollywood celebrities, and that Ricky was essentially wasting his time. At this point, Ricky looked at Johnny's second footman and asked him if he could buy him. No, he didn't say that. But Ricky went back to the drawing board and dug deep into his working class origins to get a feel of what the ordinary man was interested in. Ricky tried to text Carl Pilkington, who by that time had moved on with his life and was utterly tired of telling the whole world that Ricky's jokes wouldn't be seen as half as funny if it had been anyone else telling them. Ricky went to HUK and bought a tracksuit, and for the next 2 weeks hung out at Ladbrokes to get a good feel of what it was like to be ordinary. Upon hearing copious amounts of dubious pleasantries of highly doubtful taste from some of the bettors at Ladbrokes, Ricky came to the conclusion that this is the type of humour that would work well. He created a new persona in which he would tell outdated jokes about people who were too tolerant of other people. Ricky had come full circle, and by attempting to show extreme open-mindedness, had achieved just the opposite. People now turn off their TV and say, "Oh no, not sodding Ricky." The moral of this story is, of course, that a proper commitment to the French language would have saved Ricky Gervais from being blacklisted by many of his former followers, or fans, as they're sometimes called. He would have made it to the French charts, he'd be a rock star today, he would have left Carl Pilkington the hell alone, and I wouldn't have had to make this video. Learn French, Ricky. It's not too late.